Okay. Does it sound okay on your end?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Restart. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 83rd episode of Concerned Dabs Podcast. I'm your host, Katie M. Kane. Our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he has a line of CBN and D8 products. It is called Solo. Is the name of the company?
Solo Scientific.
Solo Scientific is the name of the company. He just got the logo. I'm pretty sure he just got the license. We're going to ask him a whole bunch of dope questions about it. I have never seen products marketed as such with this cannabinoid. I am completely impressed. He is also a person of color. So it in the cannabis industry, dude, that is big ass shit, man. His name on Instagram is BrownGuy420. His name is Paul Rosas.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul Rosas in the building, ladies and gentlemen, on Concerned Dads Podcast. Welcome, sir. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
No doubt. Thank you, dude. Like, man, it is dope. There's not a lot of people of color in the cannabis industry, so it's awesome to see someone, you know, succeeding and doing something different too, dude. Like way left field and shit, man. So I usually guys just want to, oh, it's fire, it's not fire. Like, guys don't want to nerd out most of the time, you know what I mean? And when I find those homies, it's like, yeah, man. Like, and when I get to interview them on my podcast, it's like, cool, dude. I get to ask a whole bunch of cool questions. So
yeah, it's been the cannabis industry is getting more and more vast. It's not just THC Delta 9 anymore.
Yeah.
And, I've done a lot of trial and error. I've gotten into one business and it does okay, then fails. Another business, a partner might screw me over. So, the name Solo originated because I said, if I want to do it right, I got to go solo,
No doubt.
And then I had a farm. I got screwed over by my investors. And then
so did I, man. So in 2016, that's how I'm just like, I commend you for keep pushing, like keep pushing, dude. Like
I want to stay in the industry, and so I extended that Solo name to Solo Scientific because I like to nerd out, like you said, man. I got into hemp because there's a vast whole other area of cannabinoids that we can figure out and find out stuff. And so my company is based on what they consider minors. And so all your minors are all the other stuff that you see in like a test result. So,
yeah,
we're, CBD, CBG, CBN, Delta 8.
Yeah.
And the list will go on further and further, the CBCs, CBNDs, all that other stuff. So it's going to be an evolving type of, business.
Yeah, dude. And can you talk a little bit about those two cannabinoids, man, CBN and Delta 8? And because a lot of people are only looking for two readings on the fucking label, you know what I mean? It's like THC or CBD or a ratio of this to that, or it passed or failed on this or that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and companies that are like mine, we're out there trying to experience and give education. That's why I'm bringing back like my YouTube and stuff to give education on these cannabinoids, because it's taken so long for people to adopt new cannabinoids into their life and want to see what they're about. And like you said, it's always been just pretty much Delta 9, your THC.
And the quantities that you can get it in, like even if you're getting dabs, it's it might be, maybe you're lucky if there's 1% something other than THC or CBD, you know what I mean? But usually it's like 0.0 something, but it registers still. But who's to say what's a therapeutic dose, you know what I mean, of that cannabinoid? So fuck, what you're doing is tight, dude. Like it's
so we started with Delta 8. It was just something like I had quit smoking Delta 9 THC because I had so much business in my life and so many things going on that I guess you would call it the paranoia part, where you're like, shit, did I do that? Did I turn that off? And if I didn't, and I'd end up going back to the work and checking, and I'm like, oh man, I turned everything off. I wasted my time.
Hell yeah.
And so
I can relate, bro. Yeah. Checking the door 3 times too. Like, fuck, man.
And so I heard that Delta 8 actually was anti-anxiety, anti-paranoia. It's more of a focus type situation with it, rather than couch lock where you're just laid back and, you know,
Yeah.
smoking, you know, the good stuff. You know, what I tell people nowadays with Delta 8 is Delta 9 is we all know. You smoke some and you're kind of laid back. You know, with cannabis, there used to be a hard distinction between indica and sativa. And today, everything's more or less a hybrid, 60,
Yeah.
40, 70, 30s, whatever. And so it's hard to get a hard indica or a hard sativa. And I always liked to get it back in the day smoking just straight sativas because they uplifted you. I called it work weed. You'd smoke that and go to
Yeah.
work because you're just out there doing whatever you're doing.
I'll call
And
it mom weed when I worked in the store, because moms would come in wanting that jack. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
exactly. And
they got to do chores and take care of kids and shit. You know what I mean?
yep.
Yeah.
And they don't want to get that couch lock and not do their responsibilities. And then when it came to extractions, it was kind of the same thing. Extractions, everyone was either just making hash, BHO at the beginning, CO2 rolled in. And then now, I mean, this has become a chemistry field is where I'm at. And I used to say that, you know, oil's oil, like dabs are great. I say it was like a rush of a high, but then it leveled out to be such a clean high.
Yeah.
And when it came to Delta 8, Delta 9, I always said was just like your indica, and I said oil's oil. Well,
Yeah.
now with Delta 8, I say that Delta 9 is like your indica, Delta 8 is like your hardcore sativa.
Word.
So if you're smoking Delta 8, you're focused, you're doing what you need to do. I'm not double checking anything. I'm not going, oh man, did I turn that heating mantle off? You know, because if it burns up overnight, that's $2,000. You know, so like I'm not tripping like that anymore with Delta 8.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, and it's really my best friend and business partner. He has a lot of issues with anxiety. So if he smokes Delta 9, he'll usually just hang out in the house, and he's not going to run outside and play basketball with his kids or anything, you know.
Yeah.
And now with Delta 8, he could smoke Delta 8. He's out there doing whatever he wants to do, not thinking about it. He's just doing it. And so it really helped him out with not having to have that anxiety type feeling that was involved with Delta 9.
And I just think it's cool to see another way to differentiate the effects with terminology, dude, because like you're saying, sativa and indica it's relevant for beginner folks who are just starting to smoke, you know what I mean? But when you really nerd out, it's like, well, how can I really tell? Because sometimes you grab a strain that you think is one or the other and it gives you the opposite effects, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
breaking it down by cannabinoid, bro, like that shit is dope. And it makes me want to look for that on a test now. It's like, nah, it's got a lot of D8 in there, man. This should be good if we're going to the studio to make some music, you know?
Yeah, keep you focused, and you're gonna start seeing people that are wanting to do mix Delta 8 and CBC together soon. So that's my next cannabinoid. I'm going to be trying to figure out how to purify
CBC.
because CBC is also very uplifting. So I've been taught, people tell me like, hey, look, I'm a college student. I'm working hard. I'm studying hard. I'm doing things I need to do. I need to stay focused and positive about what I'm doing, but I still want to feel high.
Yeah.
And so we're, Delta 8's been what they've been using, like in a vape cartridge or something. Dope. And you can smoke on that, have a good high, but still be focused and do your homework or whatever you got to do. And now the CBC with a mixture with Delta 8 is going to do the same thing. It's just going to make you even more focused.
Man.
So, yeah. Very much a zoning out type of, like you're doing music or you're doing anything creative. Yeah. That's where your Delta 8s come in.
Well, because I'm a musician. It was rap when I was a kid. It's more rock and roll now. And there's certain homies that, and they had a bad experience with weed where they did get super paranoid or anything. And so this is like new knowledge. I can say to them like, nah, bro, look for the D8 or look for this guy's products. Like, try it, bro. I'm telling you, like, it's marketed as such, for a person like you who's, you know, who's had that experience in the past and wants to have a better one right now, you know what I mean?
Yep, I feel it. Definitely, it's like I tell people, let you just zone out in whatever you're doing. You know, it's if you're looking to relax, like just like having a beer or anything like that, that's your Delta 9.
Yeah.
That's where you're kicking back and chilling. But Delta 8, definitely you're putting in work with it.
Hell yeah. I
Yeah.
man, I was in treatment with a guy when I was 19, out there at Sundown M Ranch by Yakima. And
Hmm.
he grew up in Africa, moved to France, became a doctor. He was a geneticist in Seattle, and his wife brought him to treatment because he was drinking too much. But he said that in Africa there was weed that will make you work. You know what I mean? He's like, dude,
Hmm.
12 hours. And then he said there's weed that will make you sleep. And then there's weed that will make you fuck or have sex. You know what I mean? He
Hmm.
said there's 3 different kinds. And I didn't fucking know that shit when I was 19, you know what I mean? But he said back home in Africa, that's what it's like, dude. And so
Very
it
much
was,
so. You know,
yeah. And
well, in
so,
Africa and places like that, they don't. America's very hardcore into crossbreeding, breeding, and that's why something today might say that it's a 60% sativa, 40% indica, and you think it's going to make you go up, but the indica side of it is more dominant still, even though it's only
yeah,
40%, it's still relaxing.
yeah,
Whereas you get these landrace type strains that are in different countries that haven't really been touched. Someone just keeps growing it every year, getting seeds out of it, and keeps growing it. And so they're very solidified. Like if it makes you relaxed or makes you want to go have sex with your woman or you're doing whatever, they've solidified those cannabinoids. And it's kind of like what I'm doing in the lab now is we're
yeah,
trying to find them, figure out what they are, how they work, and then solidify it, because then you can like mix them up and say this is going to help you do this or this, or and
yeah,
I always got into the industry because I always said, this is a medicinal plant.
yeah, it is,
And
man.
as of where I could say that, this bottle of water right here, helps you, cure cancer, you got to find out what part of the bottle. Is it the label, the cap, the water in it that's curing
Yeah,
cancer? So to make this and get people to accept it as a, homeopathic or whatever you want to do, you got to really find out which one it is that's doing it. And that's where, you know, uh, they consider me a conversion lab where I'm, we're maturing the cannabis molecule and evolving it into these other cannabinoids so
yeah.
that we can experience them and see how they are.
Man, can I ask some questions about process and stuff? Like, do you
Yeah.
have do you have do you have homies that are like breeding for CBN and because CBN and THC Delta 9 breaks down into CBN over time, right? So is it like, do you just get older material and that's how you isolate it, or like how
You
does
know,
that work?
yeah, there's a couple ways to it. Honestly, the way people figured out CBN before was just they had Delta 9. They cut down a plant. They got the smoking and stuff, but then maybe they had so much that some of it just got old.
Yeah,
And through its oxidation from sun or heat, whatever, that oxidation actually was lowering the THC, and your trichomes are getting more and more amber and oxidized, and now your CBN levels coming up. But
yeah,
if you're like, I have a little experiment. I have a bag of old trim, and I keep testing it. It's about a year old right now,
hmm,
and I'll take a test of it every couple of months just to see where the CBN levels are naturally. And I mean, after a year, they're up to 7%, 6, 7%.
damn, that's
Um,
crazy, dude. That's cool, man.
it's way cool. And then what we're doing is we want CBN at 99%,
Y-
98, 99, 99.9%, so that we can have it in a pure form, so that we
yeah.
know exactly what it's doing. And at that point, I'm speeding up the oxidization of the cannabinoid to get there, and converting
Yeah.
it, your deltas, all the way into CBN.
Oh, dude, so you can just basically get distillate and just cook it long. Cause dude, that can I like my uncle taught me how to make weed butter in Seattle, right? And he's
Right.
like, you gotta cook that shit for 12 hours at least, but 18 to 24 is what I do mine, and those are those cookies you like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I would do that. I'd get the jelly bag and the gloves to squeeze it out. And dude, those cookies I made were vicious. They did what I wanted them to do. I could sleep good, and everybody else liked them too. But then when when it switched to rec and all these different edible companies started coming out and they just started using distillate, like I never got that same slow down, that chopped and screwed feeling, you know what I mean? And that, like, I started figuring that out. Like, they're just using, and I would ask them, how long do you guys decarb your distillate for? And nobody would answer that question. You know what I mean? It's like, did you guys not make it and just bought it from someone to source it? So you don't know? Like, it was weird. And so
A lot of
now,
people, a lot of people white label products, have somebody else make it for them because they have a good flavor to a gummy or a candy bar. And
yeah,
they went to distillate because so when it comes to making these things, so like the weed butter days,
yeah.
my 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 mom scared me to death with edibles. I she made the old, this is how we did it in the 70s type of brownie, and she
yeah,
would decarb the trim right on a cast iron pot or pan or whatever, and she would sit it there and heat it up until little wisps of smoke would come out of her ground up material. And then at that point, that's when it got introduced into the butter. And then she started
ah,
making brownies out of it. And what she's doing is decarbing it right there on the
yeah.
plant matter,
It's
moves it into the butter.
like a big volcano vape thing, but just in the
Yeah.
pan,
And
dude. That's
it
crazy.
was borderline hallucinogenic, her brownies,
Hell
and
yeah, man.
just whooped my ass. But today's world, you know, it's hard. It's hard. You make butter and you're gonna taste it in the product. You're
Yeah,
gonna taste weed in it, and people are trying to make it so you don't taste anything. So at that point, you go to a distillate.
yeah,
And when it comes to a distillate, as you get into rec, you know, before rec, no one cared. They just mixed it up and try it, and then you
yeah.
get all wrecked off it. But with recreational, you gotta they want to
Consistency.
yeah, consistency on a product, but they also want milligrams. How many milligrams are in your product. So when it comes to that, when you're trying to, let's say, make gummies, and you're trying to do a case study, to put your product out there, they have to. A lab is going to test it. You're going to give them 10,000 gummies, and they're going to test random ones out of the whole thing and
Yeah,
make sure your consistency is good.
yeah,
So when you use a distillate, it's better because it went the purity level at 85%, let's say, delta 8, delta 9, whatever it is. That's 850 milligrams or 850,000 milligrams per liter at that point. So you can do the math after that and figure out how your dosing works on that.
yeah. Because
And then when you go to a purity like an isolate, a powder that's 99.9, the math gets even easier because
yeah,
at that point
dude.
you have 999,000 milligrams in your 1 liter of product. So
Well, and
it
because that,
distributes beautifully.
and you guys you turn it into isolate, right? I saw the cookie
Yeah.
trays and shit. I was like, man, we used to trim on those. That is that like all? It looks like cocaine powder, bro, but it's
Yeah,
CBN.
dude. Yeah, pretty much,
Whoa.
what you're doing there is, so you go from plant matter, and then you're going to wash that plant matter. In the hemp industry, most of the time it's done with ethanol, food grade ethanol, and just like Everclear or something,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
going to wash those trichomes off and separate the trichomes from the plant matter. Once you have it in that's called crude. Like, it looks like oil, so that's why they call it crude oil.
yeah.
And from there, you're going to decarboxylate your oil at about 150 Celsius. You
Okay.
let it bubble until all the bubbles are gone, and it's very fine bubbles, barely bubbling. At that point, you're fully decarboxylated, and then from there, we're gonna distill it. So once you distill it, you're gonna get rid of all the crap, and you're gonna have from a dark black oil look, like a Rick Simpson oil. You're
Yeah,
gonna distill it into that golden oil color.
Yeah, like
And
sometimes it's red too, man. They
yeah,
say that's from the iron in the chloroplast or some shit like that.
yeah, you can get reds from, I mean, it just really depends. Sometimes pH imbalances in the oil. There's ways of
Ah,
fixing that. But yeah, chloroplast. I mean, it just really depends. You can have chlorophyll in your oil if you
yeah.
didn't properly winterize your oil when in the crude stage. So once you wash it off and you have, ethanol and cannabinoids all together, you're supposed to put it in a freezer and freeze it to -40 Celsius. At that point, you're freezing all your plant waxes, fats, and lipids. Then you run it through filtration, and that now you don't have that
The,
chlorophyll. You don't have none of that stuff in there, and
see,
that's how you're going to get a golden oil.
dude, I fucking did intake for like 2 months at Human Collective, and I never got these answers from the guy making the shit I was buying. You know what I mean? So it's just like, fuck, dude, thank you, man. Like the term winterized, bro, like so many companies, well, our CO2, what does that mean? Oh, well, it goes through a problem. Like, tell me about the process. And I don't know if maybe they thought I was too dumb to understand, but fuck, dude, thanks for explaining that shit too. Because
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's what when before my YouTube had gotten shut down, I was doing a lot of growing at the time, and that's what I did was teach people all this. Back in the day before internet was out there, you just knew some guy that grew the dank, and you'd be like,
yeah,
"Damn, dude, I want to grow some weed, dude. How you doing it?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, whatever," because they
yeah,
didn't want to teach you, and now you're competition or something,
yeah,
And it didn't even matter if you just want to grow your own stash; they just never wanted to tell you the secrets.
yeah.
And so when I got into YouTube, I gave up everything all the years experience I had on growing so that other people can grow and
See, I love that, dude. Like that's,
sharing of knowledge. And
yeah, man.
I'm the same way when it comes to working in the lab now. I mean, there's certain things I won't tell because it's not
Proprietary and
um
shit.
yeah, I mean, some of it could be proprietary, but I'm actually doing chemistry now. So some of this I don't want someone to hurt themselves with later or make a product that's unsafe,
Yeah,
So at that point, even when it comes to working with ethanol, you really got to be careful with it. It's the same thing as the backyard BHO guys that were out there just slamming cans of
I'm
butane through the tubes.
fucking guilty of doing that a
Dude,
time or two, too, bro.
I'd be
You know what I
I'd be
mean?
lying to
Like,
say if I
bro,
didn't have the
yeah.
glass tubes out there blasting into a fucking Pyrex plate.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah.
I
And so that's after a couple of times, it was like, this doesn't feel safe. You know what I mean? Like, I was
I've
like,
had people, oh, let's evaporate the butane and then put it on a flame, and you're like, whoa, what are you doing? And then
no,
whoosh, and then I'm out there running out with the flaming pot of VHO and
yeah,
butane, burning my sleeves on my jacket, to save the house or whatever, like my buddy's garage. And at
yeah,
that point, I was like, holy shit, man, this could be dangerous. And
yeah, dude. Yes,
after that,
yeah,
I got into closed loop extractions. That was a whole new type of ball of wax there,
yeah,
and it just gave me my love for wanting to do the extractions. And the hemp industry is I think is where I never intended to go into the hemp industry. It was from my bad partners, the people that invested into my farm on the recreational side.
yeah.
They screwed me and tried to hit me with like a no compete or whatever. Like I couldn't compete or do anything in the industry for a period of 3 years.
Oh man,
So I ended up leaving the country for a couple of months, going down to South America and helping with their cannabis, and then
tight, dude,
and
tight.
then and then popped back up here, and all of a sudden, boom, hemp is everywhere. And I
Yeah,
was like, wow, what is this? It looks just like weed. I mean, those fields are amazing. 100 acres of just pot plants.
tops, colas, bro. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, holy shit, that looks just like regular nugs,
Oh,
man.
it smells like it, looks like it. I mean,
Yeah,
it was amazing. It blew my mind. And I just said, you know what? I want to get into this because now it's not me out there showing people how to grow. I've taken people from growing in your backyard, in your shed, to building greenhouses. And then I went recreational. And then the last couple of years was, let's just go all out. Let's grow 500 acres of this shit, like
Yeah.
major agriculture, tractors, and, feeding with large 12-inch water pipes. And,
Fuck yeah.
I got into the drones and the filming of it all. And
yeah, the FLIR cameras to see the efficiency of your irrigation and fucking runoff and slope and all that. Fuck
and
yeah,
it just,
dude.
I love every aspect about the industry. And then, the growing part, I've been doing it for so many years. It just kind of, got monotonous. And
Yeah.
I don't want the industry to become monotonous to me. I don't want to feel like I'm doing the same thing every day. So I got into the lab part, where it's a rapidly evolving, everyone's chasing the new cannabinoids.
Yeah.
And so at one minute I'm doing cannabinoids, but it's like it could be worth a lot of money for that cannabinoid. But then as everyone starts to know how to make it, the price goes so far down and so low, you just add that to your menu for your customers, and then you go chase the new one.
Yeah.
And so it's just a race to see who can find them all, like.
Yeah.
And,
Pokemon.
I like the race, the competition, I guess you'd say,
Hell yeah,
how
dude.
people develop pills and stuff that are, just putting different cannabinoids together. Like right now, I'm working with a buddy of mine because the CBN is such a new cannabinoid. I guess a little bit about CBN is that, it's just like CBD and CBG with the anti-inflammatory, helping, swelling and stuff like that. But it's, it has all that, but it's also, a lot of people say it makes you sleepy, which it doesn't, but it does help fight insomnia. So, but it's, so the best way I could say is, if you took some CBN, you're not going to just nod out and just, be out cold. You could be out, you'll just feel very relaxed and you're fine. But the minute you say, hey, look, I want to go to bed, you'll lay down, you'll close your eyes, and you're out cold. You're like instant REM. You're just so out that you're not doing anything, but you still wake up, go take a piss. You still hear your dog bark and say, what's he barking at? Like you're still like cognate hearing.
Yeah.
But every time you wake up, check something out, go to the bathroom, and then you lay your head back down, out cold. There's no like trying to fall back to sleep. It's like you just got knocked out. And because of that, with its anti-inflammatory type of properties, I find that, I have a bad back and it's always messing with me. I find that when I take it, I sleep so hard and so well that it releases all that tension in my back. Or if you have a pinch in your neck, take some CBN and you'll wake up the next morning with no pinch in your neck anymore.
Dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. To me, it's right now it's my favorite cannabinoid, I would have to say.
Well, dude, me too. Like man, there was this lady. I was in Phoenix for 2 years, 2018, 2019. I moved back to Spokane in March. But this lady, I would do the farmer's market thing down there, right? Where you go and pay for a table and put up your jars. This one lady had syrup, and it was, she'd make the dirty Sprites and all that shit and sell them for $5 or $10. And at the first time I got one from her, I was like, these are legit. I drank like 2 or 3 of them, was like, yes. And then every time I got it from her after that, it just wasn't as strong. And I don't know what, I think she was using BHO, but she didn't decarb it as long after that first time. And she just was like, man, it's a live function. I feel somewhat irresponsible serving all that to everyone if they have to drive, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, fuck that shit, girl. Like, cook it longer, So it's cool to see a product where it's like, nah, this is what I want from that product, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like girls like her and anyone else who's making like a syrup type product, or it's like, shit, you could sell it in like a Kool-Aid fucking packet, dude, you know what I mean? And mix it in with the drink, because Is it soluble, like water soluble after you turn it to distillate?
So yeah, so we take it to distillate and then we'll turn it to isolate,
Yeah.
which
Oh yeah, my isolate. My bad.
yeah, so
Terminology was
isolate
incorrect there.
once you take your distillate, and it's called crashing it out. Once you crash it out, uh, you're left with isolate, and then isolate's your pure product at that point. It's not water soluble or compatible at that point.
Okay.
But they have a machine, what's called a nanotization machine.
Yeah,
And it,
nano emulsified. I heard
yep,
that term from my homegirl Catherine, man.
yep. And what all that's doing is it's vibrating so fast that it's literally taking, like, let's say CBN, and you're going to take that CBN molecule and it's going to shake it so much with like sonic vibration that it blows it apart into a bunch of little tiny molecules. And at that point, it's what they call water compatible, which if you poured it in water or soda or your beer or whatever, it would mix with it.
Okay.
You know, and then and then through nano emulsification, it's going to allow it to go through into your bloodstream and assimilate more of the product better. Because
Okay.
with most cannabinoids, the molecule's too big. So if you're taking something that's let's just say 75% purity, you're not going to pull in that whole 75%. So your body's going to assimilate, let's say 50% of that.
Yeah.
So through nano emulsification, you're going to get more towards that 75% of what you're actually putting it in your body.
That's dope, man.
More effective.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And that marketing guys need to hear shit like this too, so they can explain the difference. You know what I mean?
Lately, I've been doing some like there's a place in Texas that, like, because we're getting these like CBD dispensaries going on now.
Yeah.
And you know,
they had some in Arizona too. I was like, just CBD? Like,
dude, Arizona blows my mind. I'm from Arizona.
Oh, really? Tight.
Yeah, I 16 and a half years. I went to high school, college, everything in Arizona, up in Prescott, Arizona.
Tight, man.
Back when I was in Arizona, nothing was legal.
Yeah.
I mean, you get caught with a joint, you're going to jail, you know, like.
Yeah.
And now to see them hit recreational, amazing, man. That's fucking, you know, Arizona's come a long way, man.
Fucking A, dude. I want to shoot for that snowbird life, bro. You know what I mean? Have a spot down there for right about now until March or April, and then come back, do the farm thing. It just,
yeah, so long in Arizona though. Like, I love Arizona. It's an amazing place. The sunsets out there, the sunrise and sunsets, one of the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Lightning in Arizona is amazing.
Hell yeah,
you know, the
dude.
lightning storms. But
yeah.
I came out here to Oregon. I came out here because of cannabis.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And Oregon had just gotten the, you know, medical cards at that time. This was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of that movement in cannabis, you know, and I've been chasing it ever since then. For 13 years of being here, man, just chasing that, you know, trying to get into the industry.
That's dope, man. I moved to Portland in 2010, and then I got into it for a while, 7 or 8 years, and then I moved to AZ in 2018. Like 2016 was my heartbreak. Fucking partner investor guy jerked me, so
yeah,
it just like that. I did one more outdoor in 2017, and it wasn't super huge, and then I just I bailed to AZ just because I split with my son's mom, so it was just I couldn't find a place to rent for 6 months in Portland, and I knew I could do it in AZ, so I just bailed down there.
Yeah.
Now I'm in Spokane, but I like the Northwest. I missed all my friends and fam up here, dude. Like, I didn't have any cultivation homies in AZ, like no nothing, no music homies. I ended up meeting a couple friends, but not like
Arizona's the slanger state, you know. Everyone's just slanging the buds, dude. Hey, I got one.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not like here in Southern Oregon, dude. There's crops right off the side of the freeway. You know, like you walk down the street, there's a big ass plant just hanging over someone's fence. You know, and like nobody out here is taking plants or anything because everyone just grows their own damn plants out here. It's just weed is literally everywhere down here.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what I like about Oregon, especially too, because here in Washington, rec law didn't allow for home cultivation. So there's no 4 plants here. Everybody just has to go to the store. And I just get tired of what's on the shelf at the store after a couple weeks. It's like, man, there's so many type breeders out here. Why aren't you guys like everybody's just right clicking everybody else's style? And
there's so much in the recreational space that, you know, it's like most dispensaries are only looking for that indoor fire, you know, that looks good and sells good, because people are buying off looks.
yeah,
But you can buy something that looks amazing, but it doesn't get you that high.
yeah, man.
So it's a, you know, real big I call it cloak and dagger thing, you know, like, look at this, it looks so good. And most of them are like, oh, we don't even want outdoor anymore. You're like, but the outdoor honestly gets you higher a lot of the time.
Yeah,
you know?
there's more cannabinoids in the plant when the sun is shining on it, man.
Oh man, I tell you, you know, same thing with, you know, why is the farmer guy way bigger than the guy that works in an office? Because the farmer guy's out there putting in the work to, you know, staying alive underneath that sun.
Hell yeah,
you know?
dude, for reals. And like the rock wool and water shit is really fucking popular right now. You know what I mean?
You know, I actually started with hydro back in the day.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I just wasn't catching the terpenes and that the flavors.
Yeah.
You know, like I was growing these, I mean, like high times quality flower.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know. I felt like I was missing something. And then I went to like no-till organics and in the soil, and it blew my mind on the flavor, the smells, just everything.
Yeah.
Regenerating your soil. You're not tossing shit out, you know, like after every grow, you're just reusing, and it blew my mind, man. It changed the way I thought of, you know, cannabis.
Me too. Yeah. I was like one of like 2 homies in my group of 10 friends that jumped into that shit too. It's like, and everybody's like, man, what did you spend this year? I'm like, $3K. They're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, dude, the fucking yard of compost is $20, dude. You get the amendments, fucking mix that shit up and let it sit, bro. Like, well, what kind of newts? What kind of newts did you use? I'm like, I didn't use any. I just used compost, tea, and water. Shut up, dude. I'm like, dude,
throw some worms in there.
Yeah, bro, serious. And it just, that's dope to hear you say that, man. It makes me feel good about decisions that I've made too.
Oh man, no-till's it's been my way of growing for a really long time, man. You know, it's what really, you know, that was my thing on YouTube. I taught people, you know, no-till growing. And
yeah, there's another guy, Joshua Steensland, that I'm a huge fan of, and he does
that's my buddy.
Oh, okay, yeah, dude. I love that guy's work, bro.
Yeah, he's come down here. We bumped into each other a couple times at some soil conventions, and then now he's in hemp, and you know, he came down here. He's up in Portland area.
Okay.
And then he came down here, and we're trying to set up some collaborations and stuff like that to work together.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait to see some of that stuff too, because
he's a good dude. Really good dude.
He was on episode number 2 of our podcast.
Was he?
I got to interview him. Yeah, man.
Sweet.
It was dope. Yeah. And I met him. He came to our I was working at Natural Wonders in Portland for like a year. And he came in a couple of times, and I got to meet him at a different spot and get a sample of his flower rosin. And it was the Grease Monkey, I think it was the shitty one, the Dope Cup with. And I just kept one of the flowers and gave everything else to the homies at work, and they were all like, dude, who is this? I was like, it's that dude with the beard that came in, man. You know what I mean?
And he's doing that fucking fire.
Dude, yeah. And when I started following him after that, it was like, holy shit, look at what he's doing. Like, he's barely even using tea. Like, it's just straight up water the whole time. As it gets more
mature and that soil sets up and you're not messing around with it, it just takes a life of its own, you know?
Yeah, dude. I'm just I try and preach that to everyone too, because it's, you know, it's so many wins. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe the one minus, your yield might be a little bit less than with fucking hydro. You know what I mean? Or cocoa.
what I always tell people is, no-till, you got to put a little bit of work into it to set up a good soil at first. And then as your first grow is, I always tell people, is going to be your worst grow.
Hell yeah.
Because it sets up, you get a good harvest. You're like, hell yeah. But then you let it go a second round and you're growing in it. Now your buds are a little bit bigger and a little bit more flavorful. You get in the your 10th, 20th, 30th turn through that soil.
Yeah.
They're just huge buds. You're not doing shit to it, but add water, and they're just, it's just doing itself. It's weed being grown from weed,
Yeah,
just
man.
composting the weed right back in there.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. Because I'm indigenous also. I'm Nez Perce Indian. I grew up on my reservation in Idaho. So
Nice.
it just lines up with the principles of the shit I believe in, too. It's like,
Mescalero Apache right here.
Oh, you're shitting me, dude. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope, man. One of my buddies I grew up with, his dad's San Carlos, man. So yeah. So he'll go down there and visit, his fam sometimes. And
yep.
That's tight, man.
That's where the brown guy comes from. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're Mexican." And I'm like, "No, I'm Indian." I said it's redskin, not brown skin.
Ah, that's dope, bro. I did not. I assumed the same thing, man. That makes me like you 10 times more now, too, bro. You know
yep,
what I mean?
Mescalero, Apache, Azteca, and Spanish.
Because there's even less indigenous people, you know what I mean? Who are so it's like, fuck, dude, that's really big shit, man.
Well, we're so one of my neighbors, my lab is in like I don't know, I think there's like probably 12 units of other people, and there's another extraction facility down at the other end of me, and they were just bought out by the Indian tribe. And so we've been talking because, when the Indians are doing their thing, they're able to sell to all the reservations anywhere across the United States. So I was talking with them because I'm doing conversions and making things that they can't grow in the plant. And he was like, well, this is great because we want, grow, the Indians are growing. We can bring it to you. You're Native American. You can do the conversion. And now we're doing this, all Indian grown, all on the reservations.
Hell yeah, dude. Like, man. Yeah, native owned businesses, bro.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super tight.
So yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Here pretty soon, I'll be having like a website for the company, and then putting up product lines and all that type of stuff. So people that are looking for more obscure cannabinoids that they can't find in a dispensary yet or anything like that, you'll be able to purchase it and check it out for yourself.
Dope, man. Man, that's tight, bro. And you got the rec license too, like to get in dispensaries, or is that just?
I used to have the rec license, but with my investors, we went through like this whole court battle and stuff like that. They took the license. I just walked away because I'm not a court type of person, like someone's like,
no, I hate going to that place, man, for any reason, man.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, you know what? Fuck that. If I walk into a court and I know I can win a case, I still feel like I'm gonna end up in jail. So
same, bro.
All that old life,
Hell yeah. I'm conditioned to be fucking anxious in that environment, man. For real.
So I try to just stay out of a courthouse, and so I just gave up the recreational license. I got into hemp, and I just pretty much got my business fully certified. It took 5.5, almost 6 months to get the legal paperwork done. You got to go through your city or your county. You got to approve your land use certifications for doing post processing. Then an architect has to come in and like approve your building to have a solvent in there and all this stuff. You got to have fire rated walls and all this stuff. They look at us guys in cannabis as we're gonna kill everybody by doing something's gonna blow up. Like these garages we're doing back in the day with BHO.
Yeah.
And so there's so many hoops and so much money you got to spend just to become legal. It's ridiculous. When the neighbor guy is a welder and he has all this acetylene and tanks of acetylene, where if that shit blows up, we're all dead and there's a fucking crater in the earth.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Oh, you're a welder? Oh, cool. Just roll your shit in there and get your business started." You know, like for
Yeah.
me, they're like, "Oh, you can't start until all this stuff is done." You know,
Yeah.
it's
Fucking
amazing.
A.
But you know what? With me right now, I'm the sole owner of my company. I'm the sole investor. Everything I have in my shop, I own outright. And if I don't have it, I'm not going to extend myself out on credit. I'll just wait, hustle my ass off, earn the money, go buy a new piece of equipment. So no one right now is in the position to screw me over except for myself.
That's
And
dope.
to me, you can't lose that way, you know? You can't
Yeah.
lose. So
No
unless
doubt.
unless nobody wants my products.
Well, nah, bro. I want some, bro. I would hype that shit up. I would try to sell it even. You know what I mean?
You know,
Cause
yeah, you know, it's as I've started the business, you know, the business starts to, it finds you,
yeah,
honestly. You know, you find one guy, he starts working with you, he tells another guy, and before you know it, just people just keep calling you. But it's definitely a just like construction where I came from. You know, it's feast or famine. One
yeah,
minute, boom, you're busy as hell, you're making money, and then all of a sudden, like what I found this year was all of a sudden work just stopped, and so you know
same,
I
bro.
like to save my cash, so
Same.
I was just like living off saved money, and I was like, why did everything just stop? It was because
Yeah,
everybody was harvesting. They were all the people who want oils and doing anything like that. They were like, oh wait, we gotta cut down our crop, and so all their money and energy goes into the crop, and then poof, now everything's fired back up. Everybody wants stuff, and they're running hard. So I realized this year I have to prepare for, you know, a 2 month slump of
yeah,
pretty much nothing for a minute. So
yeah,
that's why I'm starting up product lines.
yeah. That's dope, dude. Can I ask one more question before I ask my cookie cutter question? I ask everyone. I wanted to ask a little bit about the process from distillate to isolate. Like, can
Yeah.
you said Xing it out or something? Can you talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit?
you're crashing it out.
Crashing it out.
So when you have distillates, your nice golden distillate, right?
Yeah,
And what we're doing is we're heating the oil up and we mix it in with a certain solvent. And that solvent, when you mix it up, it, you know, what you're doing is you're kind of just like you're thinning out the cannabinoids, like so that, you know, when you have just oil, it's thick, right?
yeah,
So the solvent's gonna like kind of liquefy it down, and then you freeze it. But the process in making isolate is if you freeze it, it'll just crash out and it'll make what's called a polymorph. So like looks like crystals, right? And if you leave it just the way it is, it'll grow big crystals like quartz crystal looking
yeah.
stuff, right? But we want fine white powder. And so what you do as it's freezing, you let it sit in the freezer for about an hour, and then I just put it like a, you know, like those egg beaters that are like a wire whisk.
Yeah.
You put that on the end of a drill, and you just woo, and you get this oxygen inside of the oil and the solvent, and what it's doing is it's causing what's called nucleation, and then you put it back in the freezer for another hour, pull it back out, do it again, and then leave it in the freezer overnight. Come back the next day, and it'll be like a solid block. It's that's what's called crashing out. It turned
Dope.
into a solid block of CBD and whatever else was in the CBD. Well, now you pull that all out and you take what, are you familiar with a Buckner filter?
I made CO2 capsules one time for a guy in Portland.
You
So
take,
I
so a Buckner filter is, you know, in the scientific world, it's called an Erlenmeyer flask, but it's like that triangle glass,
yeah,
like beaker.
yeah,
And then on top of that, you set like, it's a glass cup that fits inside of that flask.
yep.
That glass cup is a filter that you can put, I mean, you could put it as simple as a coffee filter in there. But
Hmm.
what you're going to do is you're going to scrape all this cannabinoid that's crashed out inside of this jar, and you put it in there, and you run cold solvent. And what it's going to do is it's going to flush through that crashed out material, and then through vacuum, it's going to pull all the alcohol and solvent into that flask.
Hmm.
And what you're doing there is you're washing out everything that's not CBD. And then
Word.
when you're done, you dump it out onto like a sheet, like you saw on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Just chop it all out, and you leave it, in a nice hot room, and let everything, evaporate. You can use an oven on low heat or a vacuum oven. It all does the same thing, but once you're done, you have that fine white powder.
Yeah.
And that's how the reason why it's called isolate is because you isolated the molecule. So at that point, you isolated your CBD.
Dope.
Or CBN.
Yeah, man.
And it's the same thing. THCA diamonds that everyone is the big thing these days.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, except for they're not putting that spinner in there, the nucleated. They're just letting the crystal grow. And they're doing it with their solvent is butane. They're putting it in a jar and then putting it in an oven with some heat, and and through time it'll grow those crystals, and that's how you get the THCA going.
Yeah, diamonds in sauce or whatever they call it. Yeah, hell yeah. Fuck, dude. Thanks, man. Cause dude, I see guys posting shit like that on IG all the time, and I'm like, fuck, I wish he'd come on my show so I asked him what he's doing right there. You know what I mean? Cause
I'll talk about this stuff all day long, man.
Yeah, cause I man, Josh Steensland too. He was doing a YouTube video one time, and he was wearing a Jungle Boys t-shirt, right? And someone on the feed was like, why is the big no-till guy wearing a fucking Hydro Growers t-shirt? And I was like, because he's not being a fucking hater, that's why. You know what I mean? And he responded to my thing. He's like, right on, Katie Kane. And because it is, he responded to that guy just by saying, man, I respect anybody who's spreading knowledge. He goes, those guys are really successful. And he goes, I think it'd be a shame if they didn't share some of their process for people to learn, you know? And so he goes, he goes, they do that. So that's why I'm supporting them. You know what I mean? And so,
well, if everybody did the same shit, we all wore the same white t-shirt and blue fucking jeans all our life, there'd be no individuality, So with all of us appreciating the guy I appreciate the guy that does hydro. Fuck, that's a lot of work.
Hell
The other guy that grows with advanced nutrients, and then the no-till guy, and there's the super soil subcool shit that he had. What it is we're all baking the same cake, but we're all our own chef, man. Somebody throws blueberries in the pot in the cake, and someone throws strawberries. So. We want a variety, and it's appreciated and respected upon. The people that think their way is the best way ever, ego is taking them over. It's eating them up. So I appreciate, just like Joshua, we appreciate everybody. We just prefer our way of baking that cake.
Yeah, I prefer your guys' way of baking the cake too, man. Goddamn, man, for reals. That's what I try. Anybody who asks me any questions online, I'm just like, hey, follow this guy online.
Sweet.
It's a better product, less money, less, dude, less harm to the world, everything. So I got one question that it's two-sided question, good side, bad side. You kind of answered some of it, but it's cool to get an answer based on this. I want to start doing clips of just this question and people's answer. The first side is the good side. What do you feel has been your best move on the path to where you are right now?
Going solo, man. It's dope. Doing it on my own. I'm not doing it all on my own. I have my best friend of over 25 years with me. Mm-hmm. I'd die for that fucking guy. So I couldn't do it without him. And so the best thing we did was decide to work for ourselves and get our own hustle on. It worked in the black market days, so fuck, it's got to work in the legal days, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, apply yourself, man.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. That's good answer. The other side of the coin is, what do you feel has been your biggest mistake on the path to where you are right now?
And that kind of goes with that first question, I guess. My biggest mistake that I've ever done in my life was trusting my life with other people and saying, hey, don't worry, bro. I make it, you make it, and you never will, I just, everybody you know, when you work for somebody else, they're the ones putting all the money in. So when large money gets made and they're going somewhere, they go somewhere, they bring you with, but you're just an employee.
Yeah.
You know, same thing as if like
I've been that guy a bunch of times in the weed game, so I always tried to fucking do my own shit too, dude.
you know, and I come from the construction world, dude. I'm a high voltage journeyman electrician, and I always worked for people's companies, busted my ass all my life. That's the reason why my back's all fucked up, all this stuff. All I did was try to be the best guy on the crew. Why? Because I wanted to get up into that foreman position to where I was driving a nice truck, checking on the people, making sure the jobs were good.
Yeah.
But the guy that was a dickhead that did half the work always ended up becoming the journeyman or the foreman because they didn't want to lose me in the field as the hard worker.
Yeah.
So I always screwed myself out of the higher positions because they didn't want to take me out of the field because then they're losing all that good work.
Yeah,
so,
dude. Same.
Working with other companies, I always did such a good job. They love me to death, but at the same time, I'm stepping on my own feet because I can't rise to where I want to get to the level where I want to be because I wasn't working for myself.
Yeah, dude.
And there's good partnerships. I know people that have amazing partnerships. Joshua Steenland's one of them. He seems like his shit's solid. He's got a good crew, and I'm building myself a good crew.
Yeah.
But like I said, I own the company so that I can make sure that no one else steps on my feet. You know, I could step on my own if I want to, but at least I'm manifesting my own destiny finally.
Yeah, man, I dig that, and it's easier to take a L when I'm betting on myself. You know what I mean? It's like I can live with that. It's just like if I.
Well, you know, when you're doing it yourself and you do take the L, you still have your shit. So you're still like, well, fuck, all right, you know, like. There's no sense in crying over shit. I need to get back on my feet and keep going, you know, and that's, you know, the hustle, you know, and that was my show on YouTube. It was the daily grind, man. It was about grinding.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
Sometimes I made a fool of myself by showing people my losses, but then I got right back on my feet and showed them, you know what, this is like a gamble, right? You put that quarter into that machine and you hit that slot machine, you lose. You do another quarter, you lose. Eventually, you're gonna fucking win, right? So
yeah, man.
I'm just sitting here gambling, waiting for my win.
well, dude, and I that's why I asked that question too, man. It's always fun to talk about the wins, but the losses are relevant, man. You know,
my losses are way up here, dude. My wins are way down here. But I'm changing that shit.
Same, man. It's getting more in proportion now, man.
You know, but that's where age comes in, man. Like as you're ready to conquer the world as a youngster, but you know, you gotta get stepped on and ran over a couple times to kind of mature yourself and figure out the best route. Some people get lucky. They start something, boom, they're on top. But most of us, you know, a lot of people fall out because of the failures, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of people quit, man.
And I've always been, that's, you know, I earned a name in the industry because a lot of people are like, holy shit, dude, I've seen you lose out so many times, but get back up, you know? And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to cry over spilt milk, man. I'm going to go right back to that fucking cow and just get my own damn milk, you know? Yeah. So it's about survival and just don't quit, knock the dirt off you and keep on trucking, you know? Yeah,
man. Really good words and good message, dude, for anybody listening. I don't care what game you're in.
Yeah.
That's if you want to win, that's the attitude you got to have, man.
You gotta do it. Eventually you'll hit the home run, right?
Yeah, dude, keep swinging, man, for real.
Yep.
Shit, dude. Is there like we're at an hour now. Is there any other ideas or anything you want to talk about or promote? You got a website coming soon for Solo Scientific?
Yeah, Solo Scientific's coming soon. You know, I'm not exactly sure what the website address will be because I found out there's a soloscientific.com.
Damn.
So it might have to be like soloscientificllc.com, you know, just so I can get the web address. But you know, it's Solo CBD is the product line that I'm going to be putting out there. You know, anyone who's interested, just follow my Instagram. I'm known as BrownGuy420, but my Instagram, that was taken too. So I'm BrownGuy4200.
Yeah, I noticed that.
4200.
Yeah, I was like, man, I figured it's 420 though, because it's weed shit.
And then
so
my YouTube also for the videos. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to be working on the next one. But I started my old YouTube had somewhere close to 60,000 followers, 3.7 million views on it.
fuck,
And then
dude.
they shut it down because my old investors contacted YouTube and said we were going through a lawsuit, and YouTube said fuck that, and they shut my whole channel down.
Dang,
So I'm starting
man.
it back up. So if you want to follow that, that's under my name, Paul Rosas, PaulRosas.
ROSAS, Paul Rosas, ladies and gentlemen, follow that channel on YouTube. Fuck, dude, is there any way you can get the old page back too? Like, have you messaged
Dude,
YouTube
I've hit him
at
up.
all?
I've hit him up. I know somebody that his sister runs things like Instagram profiles, and she knows a guy through YouTube. They
Oh,
hit that person
man.
up, and I've never gotten a response. I still to this date keep sending them shit saying, hey, look, dude, like the lawsuit's no more. Like, just give it back, man.
Yeah.
You know? And so the best thing I could do is I saved on my computer almost every episode I had ever done on building a rec farm. I re-uploaded all those. Now I'm starting to put out my new videos. I'm trying to get back into that whole once a week I post a show.
Yeah.
But once you drop out, it's hard. It's like working out, and then you got fat, and then now you're trying to work out again. You got to get back into that groove.
Yeah.
And so
dude.
I'm a little bit behind on my weekly schedule, but I'm getting one out again. So
hell yeah, dude. Yeah, same, man. There's been shit happened, so we couldn't do an episode that night. So I try and go live or make up for it, like keep something stashed. But it is, dude. Every week is like, I gotta stay doing it no matter what, man. You know.
that's what gets the views though, man. If we can make these videos like they're a TV show, people can plan on that. On Fridays, they're watching you. You know?
Man.
And
Serious.
it's a hustle, because especially for you having to go out and search for those people, man. You gotta be perusing that YouTube and that Instagram, you know, like
it is, and it's 9 times, well, maybe 8 times out of 10. Like, I'm like, this guy's tight, but they don't respond. You know what I mean? And so it's like, fuck. So it is. It's like cold calling for sales or anything else. But I love doing it because it's not just that I get to hear the stories, it's that I get to share them with anybody else too who wants to listen to the YouTube channel. So
for sure.
Or the Spotify or whatever. It is, dude. I fucking haven't watched TV for like 3 or 4 years, bro. Like,
YouTube
legit.
is the new TV.
Yeah, it is. Like, there's so much more relevant information to my life and what I'm trying to do that I can find. And there's guys like you spreading that info and that knowledge, bro. And it's, you know, there's schools popping up, THCU, this and that. And when people ask me, I'm like, nah, just search what you're looking for. There's a guy doing it and making videos about it, or he's at least writing posts about it in a forum. So look for that info, because the school's not going to sell it to you as such. That guy actually fucking did it and took pics and fucking posted them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, yeah, man. But I'm more than happy to, you know, when I get new cannabinoids out there, man, we can get back on this, revisit. And
yeah, dude. I'd love to have, cause bro, I'm gonna write some down next time for like specific nerdy chemical questions too, man. Cause I mean, I appreciate you explaining the gist of it, because I feel like anybody else who's listening will be like, okay, I kind of understand that. You know what I mean? It's not so deep, but I want to ask some deep, nerdy, fucking sciencey questions.
Well, you know,
too.
maybe next time I can do it at the lab. Kind of show. You know, I can put it on the phone so I can move it around. But show like a short path distillation system. And,
because that's a really popular term right now too. I remember hearing it at a conference like 5 years ago, and now that's the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Mandalorian, this is the way. You know what I mean? Like when he said it at the conference, there was people scoffing in the crowd, right? You know, but that's how it's done nowadays. Is that method?
But and as always, it's just we're all chefs making the same cake, just different ways. You know, like I distill. People will talk down on it because they're like, it's terpless. You get rid of the terps and everything. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that they get re-added later if you want like a vape pen or something. Like if you want like a raw oil with the flavor, go for your rosin. Go get those diamonds with the terp sauces. You know, I'm purifying into a distillate, which is it's a whole nother crowd of people, but it's also the best way to get into a product line. You know,
Yeah.
so it's you know, to each their own. You know, it's you know, like we were just talking about how people have different ways of growing, different ways of everything. I'm just another piece in that big ass puzzle of cannabis, you know?
Yeah. And then the CBN products, are those out yet or coming soon?
We got I have a CBN pill that I'm about to break out. And what I'll do is you know, through my direct messaging on Instagram, if you want, you can shoot me your address. I'll shoot you some CBN pills.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'd love to try those, man.
Yeah.
Because like, man, that's yes.
And
please.
we're actually getting one together right now. That's going to be, you know, the pill right now has 8.4 milligrams CBN and 8.1 milligrams of CBD. But we're doing one that has CBD, CBG, and CBN all in the pill.
Damn.
And it'll be 10 milligrams of each.
Damn.
And that's good. I think that's going to be the special one because it's going to have all the anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, just everything mixed into it to where you could take one or two of these, sleep like a baby, and any kind of hurt or pain will melt right out of you.
Yeah. Because, dude, I'm a firm believer, too, that sleep is the best medicine. No matter what, if I feel like shit, I got to crash back out. And that's usually the issue is I can't go to sleep because I'm fucking sick or I hurt or something, you know? So that's tight, dude.
And this will help that, man.
I already believe in it, man. Like, serious.
Hell yeah, brother. Serious.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man, fucking good interview, Paul. Like,
thank you.
Man, thank you for coming on the show and sharing so much info, dude. Like, it means a lot. And taking the time. I know you're busy as shit, you know, you got all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah.
But I'll always take time out, man, and talk and do all that type of stuff, you know, because having your own business, you got to get yourself out there. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get it back on. So I really appreciate the opportunity to get my ass back into getting into all this stuff. So.
Yeah, man. Anytime you need extra body or a guy to talk to on the show too, or whatever, dude. If you need any kind of help from me, man, let me know. You know?
Yeah, brother.
And then if you need like, bro, if you want to come back on the show when you have the triple cannabinoid pill, all that, like anytime you want to come back, you know, welcome, dude. Like
for sure, brother.
Yeah, because dude, I'm just
all right.
Yeah, man. I'm really happy about this interview. I'm gonna it has to convert on my computer and then I upload it to YouTube. I'll send you the link as soon as it's uploaded. It might take usually less than an hour it'll take. So
and I'll post it on my social media to get all my people over there on your page too.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and dude, like serious, and you can sell these anywhere too, right? Because it's
anywhere around the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna, dude, I'll definitely recommend this to a lot of folks because it is. That's
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to try some. I'll message you my address too, dude.
Will do, brother. All right, man. I'll get some out to you.
All right. So
I'm
gonna do my outro dance, ladies and gentlemen. This was the 83rd episode of Concerned Dads Podcast. I was your host, Katie M. Kane. Our guest tonight, BrownGuy420, Paul Rosas, Solo Scientific. Please search those terms on social media and Google. Get yourself informed. Also look for his CBD and CBN pills and also the CBN, CBD, CBG pills coming soon. Big fan of the guy's work. Glad he came on the show. Please check him out online. He's spreading a lot of knowledge and that's what we need in these days and times. I also got to give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry. This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.